Hello, welcome to your video on multiplying binomials. By the end, you will be able to multiply two binomials together and come up with the answer. First question is, how do you multiply two binomials using the distributive property? I will be giving you three different ways, choices of how to solve binomials. This is the first one, which is using the distributive property. What you're going to do is take your problem and break it into two pieces. You'll take one of your binomials, it doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to take this first one here, and you're going to break it apart into 2x and then 4. And then what you're going to do is distribute the 2x and distribute the 4 to the pieces, the second binomial, so 3x minus 7. You're going to do that on both of them. And then you will distribute, so 2x and 3x would be 6x squared, and then 2x times negative 7 would be negative 14x. Then you're going to do the same thing with distributing the 4, so you would have 12x and negative 28. And then you're going to combine like terms, so you're going to add these together. And when you do that, you will combine the negative 14x and the 12x together, and your answer will then be, and it's always written in standard form, 6x squared minus 2x minus 28. And that's your final answer. We've learned about the distributive method. Now we're going to do the box method, which is actually my favorite. And the reason for that is because when you learn how to multiply binomials by trinomials, and whenever you're multiplying a binomial or a trinomial by anything, I think the box method works very nicely to do that. But basically what you do is you make a box, which is why it's called the box method, and you put each of the terms in a spot, so x and then negative 3, and it doesn't matter where. If your first one goes on the side or if it goes on the top, it doesn't really matter. And then 4x and negative 5. The only thing you have to remember is take those signs with you. Don't leave those out. So notice the negatives and the positives. And then you're going to multiply. So 4x times x would give you 4x squared. X times negative 5 would be negative 5x. 4x times negative 3 would be negative 12x, and then negative 3 times negative 5 is 15. And then what's really nice is that columns will line up together when you're doing this, or diagonals, I should say, not columns. So the diagonals here are things that you can combine, and if this was a bigger table, anything diagonal you could combine. And so when I do this, my final answer would be 4x squared, and then negative 12x plus negative 5x would be negative 17x, and then plus 15, and that would be your final answer. The last method you're going to learn about is FOIL, which is my least favorite method, but I'm going to give you that option anyways. The reason I don't like this one so much is it's really easy to make a mistake, and the FOIL method does not work for when you're multiplying by a binomial and a trinomial. It only works for when you're multiplying two binomials. So what FOIL stands for, we should talk about that first, would be first outside, inside, last. And that's where the letters come from. And I will show you how to do these now. So here we go. What you're going to do is do the first part, which means the outside to the first one, so the first term with the first term, and that would be 5x times 2x, which is 10x squared. And then you're going to take, I'm going to try and change colors here so you can see this better. Outside is the next step, so you're going to go first term with the outside, so 5x times 1, which is 5x. Then you're going to do inside, which means the two inside ones, so -3 and 2x, which would give you -6x. And then the last piece you're going to do is last, which means the last two terms, so the -3 and the 1, which would give you -3. And then that would be your final answer once you combine like terms. And you can combine these two together. So your very final answer would be 10x squared minus x minus 3 as your final. It is your turn to multiply these two binomials. You can use any of the three methods that I showed you. You can even use all three of them if you want the practice of it. It doesn't matter to me. But when you have your answer, go ahead and check it back in with me and see if you got it right. And there is the answer for you. Hopefully you got that right. If you didn't, try and figure it out. Otherwise, bring your question to class. Part 2 of multiplying binomials. You will be able to multiply a binomial by a trinomial. So a little bit different, 3 terms being multiplied instead of just 2 for both cases. I will show you 2 different methods, just like I showed you 3 methods last time. Remember I said FOIL only works for when you're multiplying 2 binomials, so I will not show you that method in this one. So you'll just learn about the distributive property and the box method. So the first one up is the distributive property, which is what you're going to do is distribute, and you'll want to find that second term. So that's going to be 2x. And then -7, and you're going to distribute everything by the trinomial on both of those. So now I have 2x times 3x squared, which would be 6x cubed, and then 2x times x would be 2x squared, and 2x times -5 would be -10x. Same thing with the -7 distributing, so -21x squared, -7x, and positive 35. Once you've done all of that, you have to combine like terms. So anything you see, so here we have a 2x squared and a -21x, so 6x cubed, and then combining those two would give us -19x squared. -10x and -7x make -17x, and then plus 35 would be the final answer. Alright, box method for this one. Again, box method is my favorite because it's so applicable. It works for anything. It doesn't matter if you put your trinomial on the top or on the side, if your binomial is on the top or on the side. It doesn't matter as long as you're breaking them up. I like to put the shorter one on the side, just personal preference. It doesn't matter. And then -3x and 1. Now you just multiply. So 2x cubed, -3x squared, and x. -6x squared, positive 9x, and -3. And then again, I told you before, anything diagonal is something that can be combined. So when I go to write my answer, it'll be 2x cubed minus 9x squared plus 10x minus 3 for a final answer. Alright, it is your turn to practice multiplying a binomial and a trinomial together. Please pick one of the 2 methods to do, and make sure you're showing all your work, and then check in with me for the answer. Your final answer is written in green If you did not get that, go back and figure it out. If you can't, make sure you ask in class. This is the end. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.